Hello, sorry about the late video again. Yeah, that's sort of just my catchphrase, hey, ha. Anyway, part of the reason that my video has been really late is also sort of what I want to talk about, which is, I suppose, my tendency to sort of dismiss health issues if they're not entirely incapacitating me. So basically, recently I've gotten to the point where I'm having like daily migraines, which is pretty bad. It's not great. So the migraines cause a lot of fatigue as well, and so it's sort of hit a really bad point when I had a doctor's appointment that I needed to get to. It was a specialist, and yeah, they're kind of long waits for the appointments. Anyway, so I went and I ended up like almost walking into traffic and stuff because I was like having micro sleeps while walking, and so that was when I finally started actually taking it a little bit seriously, I guess. I was pretty recently. But I just sort of really realized the whole dismissing issues thing when I went to the doctor's just yesterday while I was having a migraine to get a doctor's note for uni, and the nurse was like, how long have you been getting migraines for? And I was like, oh, just about 2 months. And it just sort of hit me, no, I've been getting like daily migraines for about 2 months. I've been getting migraines for about a decade. But I just sort of ignore all of that because I've lived. And I think that's sort of a tendency that I share with a lot of people with chronic illness, chronic health problems, especially zebras like me. So zebras refer to people with Elhers Danlos Syndrome, which is the connective tissue disorder that I have. So I've got hypermobile Elhers Danlos Syndrome, which means that my joints are hyperflexible. It also has other health issues associated with it. So for me, I have gastroparesis, something, I don't know, some gastro thing, where basically I don't digest food very well. It's just sort of hard for me to digest food in general. And then I think I might have POTS as well, but I haven't sort of investigated that yet. And then there's also the migraines, which are also associated with the Elhers Danlos syndrome. And then I know there's other stuff, I can't remember, asthma, reflux, stuff like that. Yeah, and there's also just chronic pain, chronic fatigue in general. But yeah, so I know that a lot of people like me with chronic health issues, we do sort of dismiss what we go through because, I mean, usually when I go to a doctor with a problem, it's either, well, what do you want me to do about it? Like, the doctor can't do anything, or it's not showing up on any tests, so you get treated kind of like a hypochondriac, like, well, it's not showing up, so you're probably at least exaggerating it. It's like, no, it's just a weird problem. Kind of unexaggerating it, de-exaggerating it. Anyway, yeah, so I do tend to downplay issues that I go through and stuff that I'm experiencing, especially with doctors, because it just doesn't seem worth the hassle. Like, it is usually a fight whenever something new comes up and I've got to go to a doctor, and the doctor's got to be like, well, we're going to have to run some tests, and then we're going to have to see that nothing shows up on any tests, and then we're going to have to go through this, and then you're going to have to go see a specialist and spend a few $100s, and then you're going to have to try a bunch of different medication and none of it's going to work. And it's just like, well, or I can just sit here and watch TV and hope it'll work itself out, and if it doesn't, I'll work out how to survive with it. So yeah, it is a bit tricky, I suppose, when you've got that chronic health issue, especially when it is a rare one and it's a weird one that affects just a bunch of things randomly. Like, Elhers Danlos syndrome affects everyone kind of differently as well, so it's not even like everyone's going to have these weird conditions. It's just some people will have some of these and some people will have some weird thing entirely, and it's just it's exhausting. Anyway, that's my little rant. Ciao.